Hi, welcome to another transmission from Gong Camp. This time I'm in my cabin. This year they call a meditation cabin behind the main building, and that's where I'm staying. I'm the first person to be in here. It's a nice small place with a bed, a desk, some chairs, and it's very enjoyable. Today's the first day of the second Gong Camp, so I've had the past 4 days to just hang out. And I've enjoyed that. I've gone a few places, but mainly just hung around here, enjoyed the naturalness, the birds, the trees, the lake, and everything, as I've said on previous videos. I'm just hanging out here in my little space. Just much better than being stuck at a very sterile motel out off an expressway somewhere. So I've enjoyed this. And I've had a lot of time to think about a variety of subjects and write about them and come up with a lot of ideas. What I want to talk to you about today is ritual. Just something that means a lot to me. Ritual is creating a space, creating an atmosphere, creating a sacred space. And I look at presenting the sound session. You might want to call it a gong bath or whatever terminology you use. I look at presenting a session as a ritual. And the idea behind a ritual is being able to create a certain atmosphere, create a certain space, and create it repeatedly. So I look at what I do as a ritual. And we can look in our lives, and there are rituals all around. Sporting events are a ritual. Athletes often have rituals that they perform to get ready for an event. So there's a lot of different types of rituals in our life. You might even be performing rituals in your life. You might call it something else, but it could be a ritual. So let's talk about it. For me, the whole experience is a ritual, and I go about certain things to set up an atmosphere for when I play. I like to listen to certain music. When I'm getting close to the venue, I might listen to one, if I have an hour and a half drive, I'll just be listening to a variety of music. But when I get, let's say, maybe 15 or 20 minutes away from the venue, there's certain music that I will play in my van. Because that music gets me in a certain headspace. And it's sort of a signal to me, okay, you need to get in that space. So for me, that's the beginning of the ritual there. I'll play this music, I'll get myself in a headspace, and then I arrive at the venue. And from that moment on, everything I do is really a part of the ritual. And it is designed to get me into a certain space to enable me to present what I do to the people and to do it on a consistent basis, a high quality basis. I like to be in a certain mind frame. So when I get to the venue, what do? Well, I usually check in, make sure it's open, make sure somebody's there. If it's a new place, I have to scope it out. Where do I load in? Where do I set up? Things like that. If it's a repeated place, I know everything that I need to do. So what do? I bring in my gear, and everything kind of comes in a certain order because I load my van in a certain order, and then I unpack it in sort of reverse of that order. And that helps me keep track of the gear because I know everything has its place, and if something's not in its place, then where is it? I have to look for it. When I unload the gear, I bring it into the building, I set it out in front of where I have to set up, and I start getting into this headspace and just thinking about, I'm listening to the room as I set up. Even as I walk in, especially if it's a new place, I'm listening to the acoustics. What do my footsteps sound like? What does putting a case on the floor sound like? I'm always processing information. So I open up the cases. I start setting up my rack. And I'm mindful of everything I do. I'm not just like, okay, dude, let's do this. No, I'm very mindful of it, of all the parts, of all the pieces and how they fit together intricately and how everything has to form a very stable rack to hang things on. I'm mindful of that. And then I get my instruments out, I get my gongs out, and I hang them up, and I greet my gongs. How are you today? Good to see you. Things like that. Sometimes it's just internal. Sometimes I actually speak to them. But again, this is all designed to get me into a certain headspace, the rituals. I put them up usually in the same order. I try to have enough time, hopefully, to be able to do it, at a relaxed manner. But set up all the gongs. Then from there, I set up my table because I'll use that to put other things on while I'm setting up. So then I open up my small cases with my bells and tuned gongs. Hang those. Again, mindfully. Making sure they all are in the right place. I play them with my fingers and listen to the sound. Then I cover my table with the tablecloth and the pad for all the instruments so that they're quiet. Start getting out my shakers and my bowls and other instruments there and place them. And then dutifully packing things up. Like all my instruments are wrapped up in bags, or I put felt pads between the bowls, things like that. So I put those neatly back into my case, so then when I have to pack up, everything's right there. I know where it is. Put the lids on the case, buckle them up, move them out of the way. Then I start arranging all the small instruments, making sure they're in their spot. Final thing is I get out my mallets, arrange them on the 3 mallet trays I have, usually checking them to make sure that they're still viable mallets. Are the wrappings coming apart? Do I have any problems with the handles? Things like that. You have to constantly inspect your gear. So mindfully doing that. Then I have everything set up. Move the cases to wherever they need to be stored. And then oftentimes I'll just come and I'll just stand in the midst of my setup, listening to the room, to the traffic going by. By that time, there might be people filtering in. I'll listen to them. If I have a chance, I might play a few gongs, play a few bells and that, and listen to the room. Maybe walk around, strike a gong, listen to the room. And people are coming in. I might greet some of them, or I might retreat to some corner or another room if that's available, and just sort of relax, think about what's coming, think about my mood, and again, get in that headspace so that I'm ready to present things. So I'll do that. And then it's time to play. Brief introduction. Do some breathing exercises. Help get everybody into the same space. Then proceed with the sounds. But all the while, being mindful of what I'm doing, paying attention to it. Unless I'm in some sort of a rush, which does happen. Sometimes traffic's bad, you get there late, or other such things. I like to, keep an even pace and take time and just make things flow to get into this mindset. So then I'm playing the sounds, I'm presenting the whole session, and I think of it as a ritual, something we are in together. And we are hopefully part of a transformation together. Go through that, finish, usually do a talk with the people, maybe answer some questions, and we're all done and people filter out. And then it's the reverse for me. I bring my cases back in, lay them out, open them up, pack up the bells and bowls and small gongs and shakers, all the small items, get them packed up, pack up the mallets, pack up the table, and everything's open. I can put the gongs in their cases, pack up the rack, get that all put away, and then bring it back out and load it into my van. So I see this as very much as a ritual that I want us all to participate in. And to enable that, I need to be in a certain mood, a certain headspace, however you want to describe it, so that I can bring the people into that same space. I think of it as being like there's a large 3D bubble around my setup that the people are also a part of. So we're all inside this bubble, and I want us to be all together. And that's it. And then I drive home. But the important idea for me is that I can do the same thing the next night and the next and the next and the next. And this idea of ritual helps me be consistent, even though each night is different. Each night is unique because I'm mostly improvising and going with the energy and the mood of the moment. I still want to present the same sort of atmosphere, the same quality atmosphere. So this idea of having a ritual allows me to set up conditions where I can repeat night after night, session after session, and reach a certain level and know that it's going to happen and know that it will be good. So I don't know if you do any ritual or think of what you do as a ritual, or it's just, this is what I do. But that's how I think about it. And I think that's one way you might be able to think about what you do. So just take a look at that. I'd like to read something about ritual. I've been taking notes here. This is from Karen Greenspan. It was in a recent issue of Tricycle magazine, a Buddhist magazine. It says, in every ritual, we are promoting ourselves from our ordinary form to the pure realm form. I think that says it all right there. Transforming our ordinary selves into the pure realm form. That's a big part of what I see my job being, is transformation. To transform all of us who are there experiencing these sounds, to elevate us, to transform us into a more pure realm. And that's also where the magic happens, as I've said before. To me, anyway, it has nothing to do with frequency, tuning, or any sort of 1,000 varieties of woo-woo that are out there. Because I don't do anything except create this space for transformation. And it is up to the people, and they have a choice. They can step into it, or they can remain out of it. They can step into this space and be transformed. And that transformation, again, is their choice. What do they need? What do they want? Perhaps they choose healing. Perhaps they choose relaxation. Some of them might choose to sleep through the whole session. But it's their choice. And that's a big thing I allow, is for them to choose what they want. Because, as I tell people in the beginning, this whole session is not about me. I'm just the facilitator. I just take all my instruments and provide the sounds. I provide the vehicle. And it's up to you to be open to the sounds and let them take you wherever you may go. And that's where the magic happens. When you can move to the pure realm, that's when the magic happens, whether it be physical healing, traumatic healing, or just ultra deep relaxation of stepping out of time into the present moment. That's what's really important. As I've spoken before on time, being right here, right now, that's all there ever is and all there ever will be. And that is what is important and what so many of us never experience, because we are too, how should I put it? We're too focused on getting to the next step. We're always living in the future. I have to be here. I have to go do this. So again, I see my job as to create this space, this atmosphere, to help people transform themselves. And by that sense of transformation, perhaps elevate themselves to the pure realm, or at least open themselves to something, as I like to call it, the magic, some sort of magic that will happen to them. And it's their choice. I always leave it up to them. I don't put any expectations or qualifications on the people, because the minute you do that, then you're setting up something that may not happen. And then they'll go, well, he told me this would happen and it didn't. Why not? Is he wrong? Am I wrong? I don't do that. I just like, hey, this is your trip. Go where you want. Take the journey. Get what you need from it. So ritual set up to create a transformation in the people. And that's how I do it. I'm sure many of you do it differently, and that's fine. I think the biggest thing is we need to find our own way, our own path to walk. But I invite you to think about ritual and think about transformation. And look at what you currently do and see if that might be a part of what you are doing. And if not, whether it's something that you might want to include in what you are doing or not. It's fine. It's fine with me. Because I don't want anybody to just do what I do because it's like, well, he said it, he's doing it, so I guess I should. No, take what works for you, from me or from anyone else. And if it works, use it. Also, if it works, maybe use it and change it to make it more personal, make it more your own. And if it doesn't work, leave it. All right. So thanks for listening. If you like all these sort of videos I make, please do give it a like, a thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you want to be notified about all these videos. And also share it with other people. If something resonates with you in one of my videos, share it with other people. I'd like to, spread things around. If it's a positive thing, if it's something that you think it could help, spread it around. So thanks a lot. We'll see you in the next transmission here from Gong Camp.